The sun rises over a flawless Pacific, spreading a gold path across the waves. The ocean looks peaceful, too peaceful for war. On the bridge of the carrier Hiryū, Admiral Yamaguchi stands with hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the horizon. Beneath his boots, the deck thrums with life-steal breathing, engines pulsing, men running in quiet precision. This is the pride of the Imperial Navy. The WWII, 4 carriers strong, veterans of Pearl Harbor, now sails to strike Midway, the last American bastion in the Central Pacific. The plan is perfect on paper. The men believe in it. And Yamaguchi, though modest in bearing, feels the weight of that belief pressing against his ribs. Reports murmur through the command bridge. The first strike has launched. Radio confirms bombs falling on target. The Admiral nods once. Efficiency is its own kind of prayer. Yet beneath his calm, a strange unease stirs. The sky is clear, the sea smooth, and somehow that makes him restless. In nature, calm this absolute never lasts. His captain, Tomeo Kaku, approaches with a coded message from Admiral Nagumo. It is routine, but Yamaguchi's eyes linger on the seal longer than usual. Something in him knows that today, routine will not survive first contact. He steps out onto the open deck. Wind cuts across his uniform, heavy with the scent of oil and salt. Planes shimmer in the dawn light, their folded wings glinting like samurai blades, awaiting the command to strike. The Admiral exhales, the breath fogging in the cold. "Let's finish this war before the sun sets," he mutters. Far below, engines awaken like thunder rolling through steel. The sea answers with silence. The day of reckoning has begun. The morning calm fractures without warning. A lookout's cry slices through the hum of machinery. "Enemy aircraft bearing south!" Within seconds, alarms shriek across Hiryū's decks. Sailors sprint to stations, gunners slam belts into place, and flight crews scramble toward waiting zeros. The air itself seems to tighten. From the east, black dots swell against the pale sky, American bombers, engines growling low like thunder beyond the horizon. Their formation is ragged but determined. They've come from Midway, a base Japan believed already silenced. Yamaguchi's voice cuts clean through the noise. "Launch interceptors. Keep them off the deck." Catapults hiss, and silver zeros tear into the air. Within moments, the serenity of dawn transforms into a storm of sound and fire. Trails of smoke twist upward as tracer rounds carve white-hot lines through the morning haze. The first enemy bomber disintegrates mid-air. The second breaks apart in flame. For a fleeting instant, the Japanese deck crews cheer. But victory feels thin. More aircraft emerge stubborn, unafraid, diving again and again through sheets of flak. Bombs fall short, exploding in geysers close enough to shower the carrier with spray. Hiryū shudders as near misses rattle her frame. On the bridge, Yamaguchi steadies himself against a steel rail. His eyes never leave the sky. He knows this is only the opening act, a probing strike. The Americans are testing, learning, adapting. Captain Kaku glances toward him, searching for a reaction. Yamaguchi gives none. "They still fight," he says quietly. "Then so will we." Above them, the last bomber plunges into the sea. Silence returns for a moment, brittle and temporary, like glass before it breaks again. Below deck, the hangars roar with motion-clattering cranes, shouted orders, the hiss of fuel lines feeding restless aircraft. Mechanics work shoulder to shoulder, sweat cutting trails through the grime on their faces. The air smells of oil, gunpowder, and tension. The first attack on Midway has returned with mixed results. Some damage, yes, but the American base still breathes. Pilots report anti-air batteries still firing, runways still intact. Yamaguchi studies the reports laid out before him like cards from a losing hand. The conclusion is clear. Midway must be hit again. He gives the order to rearm the planes with land bombs. Moments later, a message from Admiral Nagumo interrupts enemy ships possibly sighted to the northeast. Carriers, perhaps. The word alone changes everything. "Switch to torpedoes," comes the counter-command. And with that, the hangar becomes chaos. Bombs are hauled back to their racks. Torpedoes swung from cranes, fuses reset. Each reversal devours time, and time is the most precious thing aboard a carrier. Sweat drips from the crew chief's brow as he barks for haste. But safety can't be rushed. Dozens of warheads now lie exposed across the hangar deck, a single spark away from catastrophe. Yamaguchi glances at the clock. Every tick sounds louder. Each minute lost is another chance for the Americans to strike first. The decision traps them between two wars, one fought on the map, the other in the air. He turns to Captain Kaku, voice measured but low. Half measures destroy whole fleets. The captain nods. Yet both men know the truth. The next order will decide which side of history their names belong to. Outside, the Pacific glitters a liar's calm as the clock keeps beating louder. The sky hums with the returning squadrons scarred, low on fuel, and desperate to land. From horizon to horizon, black dots drift home like wounded birds. Deck crews brace for recovery operations, clearing what little space they have left. Yamaguchi's eyes flick to the radar officer. The man's face drains of color. A new wave of blips is closing fast, low altitude, fast approach, straight toward the fleet. Torpedo bombers. American naval aircraft. Enemy strike inbound. The report echoes across the bridge. The words, "Hang there," heavy and absolute. The Admiral's knuckles whiten against the rail. They can't launch. Not yet. Not while their own pilots are trying to land. To clear the deck now would doom the men who fought that morning's battle. To delay means facing the next one unarmed. Engines howl as the first Zero touches down hard, tires screeching against steel. The next nearly collides with him. Flight deck officers wave frantic signals, smoke drifting across their arms. Fuel hoses snap free. Loaders drag heavy bombs aside. It's a dance, with seconds every move precise, every mistake fatal. "Keep them coming," Yamaguchi commands, voice calm though his pulse is not. Far off, the horizon begins to ripple faint lines of silver wings just above the sea. The torpedo bombers are close now, skimming the water. Formation tight and relentless. Gunners swing their barrels. The carriers brace in formation. Another Zero screeches down, its brakes locking as deck hands sprint to haul it clear. Yamaguchi doesn't look away. He can feel time dissolving, measured not in minutes but in heartbeats. The last fighter hooks the cable. The deck is finally clear. Then, the sea itself seems to move. Fate is arriving at wave height. The first warning is light. Not sound, not engines, just sunlight flashing where it shouldn't. Lookouts shield their eyes and squint upward. What they see tightens every throat on Hiryū's bridge. Dozens of dots, small but growing 50 dive bombers, falling from the heavens like judgment. The Zeros are still tangled down low with the torpedo planes. There's no one left up high. Brace for attack. The words barely leave Yamaguchi's mouth before the world comes apart. Across the formation, the carrier Kaga takes the first hit. One bomb, then another, then a roar so deep it shakes the sea itself. The explosion rises like a living thing, a column of fire clawing at the clouds. Moments later, Soryu is struck. Her hangars are full of fuel and half-armed planes. The blast is instant and merciless. Men vanish where they stand. A shockwave ripples across the water and rattles Hiryū's windows. Then, through drifting smoke, Yamaguchi sees the Akagi. 3 American bombers dive straight into her heart. One bomb misses. Another glances off the deck. But that third finds the center line, disappears inside, and detonates deep. The flagship blooms with flame. The Admiral's bridge falls silent. 3 carriers gone in minutes. The once invincible Kido Butai has been gutted in a single breath of war. Yamaguchi grips the railing until his hand trembles. Around him, the crew stare at the horizon that used to hold their strength. Now, only Hiryū remains one sword left from a shattered set. He exhales, steadying himself. "Signal all stations," he orders. "We strike back now." Outside, the sea boils with black smoke. The sky above glitters like glass shattered by gods. Engines thunder across Hiryū's deck. As Yamaguchi's final strike takes shape, the last edge Japan can swing, before the sea swallows the day. 24 aircraft line up under the rising smoke. Dive bombers, fighters, and the men who know the odds. The Admiral watches them taxi forward, his face unreadable. "Let them fly," he says quietly. Lieutenant Michio Kobayashi salutes once before his plane rolls off the deck. To him, this is duty distilled, no speech, no glory, only flight. Above the flames of dying carriers, the formation climbs into blinding sunlight, wings slicing through haze. They find the enemy sooner than expected. Wildcats swarm up from the horizon, blue-gray shadows, with guns already flashing. Kobayashi's escort Zeros veer to intercept, the sky twisting into chaos. Machine gun bursts ripple through the formation. Bombers jolt and fall, engines torn apart. The survivors tighten ranks, pushing through the gauntlet with grim focus. At 11:55 a.m., the American fleet appears a white wake cutting through black oil. Kobayashi levels his dive sight on the carrier Yorktown. Tracers and shrapnel bloom around him. He feels the vibration in his bones as bombs drop in clean succession. The first detonates amidships. The second slams through the deck. The third blooms inside the hull. A perfect, terrible strike. The Yorktown shudders, flames breaking through her spine. Kobayashi's aircraft is hit moments later, a burst punching through his wing. He steadies her long enough to watch the impact below. Then, the world folds into smoke and silence. Only 5 bombers make it back toward Hiryū. Each man lost has bought seconds of vengeance. On the bridge, Yamaguchi closes his eyes for half a heartbeat. "They did not miss," he murmurs. Courage has claimed its price. By mid-afternoon, Hiryū's hangars echo with silence, broken only by tools clanging against metal. The bombers are gone, the fighters scattered, and the sea smells of burned oil. What remains of the air wing gathers around Lieutenant Joichi Tominaga, veteran pilot, calm as the eye of a storm. His aircraft sits battered at the edge of the deck, patched and leaking fuel. It should be grounded, but there are no spares and time has run out. "Will she fly?" he asks the mechanic. The man hesitates, then nods once. "She will. For a while." Tominaga smiles faintly, slides into the cockpit, and adjusts the rising sun scarf at his neck. Yamaguchi steps forward, salutes, and says nothing. He doesn't need to. Duty doesn't always require words. Engines howl as the torpedo planes lift into a bruised sky. Only 10 of them, heavy with hope and ordnance. They climb through drifting columns of smoke from their fallen carriers, the Pacific now littered with the ghosts of men and ships. An hour later, through broken cloud, Tominaga spots a familiar shape, a wounded carrier limping through the haze. He doesn't know it's the Yorktown, already half dead from the morning strike. To him, it's the enemy heart still beating. "Form for attack," he orders, voice steady over the crackle of the radio. Anti-aircraft bursts pepper the sky as they descend. A wildcat catches his wing with a short burst, fuel sprays in a bright mist, and fire licks across his fuselage. The cockpit turns into an oven. Tominaga stays level. The target fills his vision, steady and perfect. He releases the torpedo and watches its white trail cut across the waves. Moments later, his plane folds into flame and vanishes into the sea. His torpedo misses. His courage does not. Smoke rolls across the water, thick and low, hiding the sun. On Hiryū's bridge, the light has turned the color of brass, neither day nor night, only aftermath. The few surviving aircraft crews report back one truth. The enemy still has carriers. More than one. A new message crackles through the radio. Scouts have sighted another American task force, far to the northwest. Bigger, closer, moving fast. Yamaguchi lowers his binoculars, his face expressionless. Around him, the officers wait for direction, pretending not to notice the exhaustion in one another's eyes. Every man knows what this means. The hunters have become the hunted. Change course. Increase speed, the Admiral says quietly. The ship responds, leaning into the wind, her wounded deck groaning as she turns. Damage control crews patch holes faster than the sea can find them. Pumps fight to keep pace with the slow, steady flooding below. From the bridge windows, The horizon looks strangely empty. No planes, no allies, just distance and smoke. The fleet that once ruled the Pacific is now one ship alone, marked and running out of sky. A junior officer approaches with a new report. More aircraft signatures, sir? Multiple groups. Yamaguchi doesn't flinch. He knows this pattern silence followed by thunder. Ready all batteries, he says, calm as a priest reading a final prayer. Far off, the faint glint of wings catches the dying light. The ocean lies still for a heartbeat, holding its breath before the storm returns. In that quiet, Yamaguchi looks to the horizon one last time. So, he murmurs, they found us first. Hope tightens to a thread. The sky darkens. The hunters close in. The evening sky burns orange as the first bombs fall. They come without warning, a high whistling note that splits the air, followed by a concussion so deep it feels like the sea itself is coughing. Hiryū shudders violently, the deck tilting as smoke erupts through open hatches. Direct hit, forward section! Someone shouts over the din. Then another blast answers from aft. The bridge windows rattle. Shards of glass rain across the chart table. Fire spreads like a living creature, licking along fuel lines, crawling up ladders, bursting from ventilation shafts. The flight deck buckles inward, its paint blistering into molten curls. Below, hangars detonate one by one, ammunition cooking off in chain reaction. Yamaguchi grips the railing to stay upright. Damage control seal compartments, vent the flames, he orders. But half the hoses are gone, shredded by shrapnel. Pumps choke. Water floods where fire should die. Men fight anyway, faces blackened, eyes streaming, uniforms soaked in sweat and oil. They pass buckets hand to hand, beat at flames with canvas sheets, drag the wounded clear of the collapsing deck. One sailor's clothes catch fire. Another smothers him bare-handed. No one stops moving. The heat becomes unbearable. Paint peels from bulkheads. Steel glows dull red. Yet still the crew works, driven by instinct older than orders. For the ship, someone gasps and keeps going. Above, the last dive bombers bank away into the dusk. Their silhouettes vanish into cloud as night begins to fall. The sky turns black. The sea mirrors it. On the bridge, Yamaguchi watches the fires reflected in the glass. The horizon he once commanded now commands him. Hiryū drifts in silence, half alive, half memory, a furnace afloat on the darkening sea. By midnight, Hiryū is no longer a ship, but a silhouette, a smoldering mountain of iron adrift in a black, silent sea. The fires still breathe, flickering through the torn hull like the last heartbeat of a dying giant. The deck lists heavily, every groan of steel echoing across the waves. Survivors gather amid the smoke, faces lit orange by the burning wreckage. Some kneel to pray, others stare wordlessly at the horizon where their fleet once sailed. Engines are dead, communications are gone. The ocean has swallowed the Kido Butai whole. Only Hiryū remains, wounded and waiting. Yamaguchi stands at the rail, the heat brushing his uniform, the flames reflected in his eyes. Captain Tomeo Kaku joins him, silent. Both men already know what must come. Evacuation boats are ready. Destroyers signal from a distance, urging them to abandon ship. The Admiral shakes his head. Our work ends here, he says softly. Let the men live. I will stay. Kaku's reply is a single bow. Then I stay as well. Orders travel quietly through the decks. Prepare to scuttle. The destroyer Makigumo takes position off the starboard side. 2 torpedoes are fired. One misses. The other strikes true a low, heavy sound, like the closing of a door. Hiryū convulses once, then settles. The rising sun flag is lowered slowly into the firelight. Around Yamaguchi, sailors stand at attention, faces streaked with tears and soot. Together they cry out, "Banzai! Banzai! Banzai!" Voices swallowed by the sea. The Admiral closes his eyes, his hand resting on the rail as the deck tilts beneath him. The water rises, hissing against the flames. When dawn breaks, nothing remains but drifting smoke, and the memory of men who chose honor over escape.